Hi Yogi, it's Bri. In this video, we're going to look at Uttanasana forward folds. Uttanasana forward fold. I like to think of Uttanasana as one of those gifts to my students, even myself in the beginning of class and throughout the class. It is, typically practiced from either a step or jump forward or from Tadasana from Tadasana down to the fold. The foundation of this pose is in the feet. So typically, especially in the beginning of class, I'll be teaching Tadasana and really teach the feet, the legs, the quadricep engagement, the core engagement from there. So if you haven't already, check out the Tadasana video for a more detailed look at this foundation. Just making sure that her feet are hips distance. If in the beginning of class, I always teach Uttanasana hips distance first. It just allows for more space. So feet hips distance, lift the toes to find the arches, lift the quadriceps, draw the inner thighs back as the outer hips draw back. Inhale, reach the arms out to come up. Exhale, folding all the way down. Fingertips underneath the shoulders. Inhale to a flat back. Now, typically in the flat back is where I teach the distribution of weight in the feet. So I'll say, from your flat back, can you find equal weight between the heels and the balls of the feet? Because typically students, especially tighter ones, will lean too far back into the heels to avoid sensation, like so. So even leaning more weight into the balls of the feet until you feel like the sits bones, the bony bones at the center of each buttock, the top of each femur bone, are right over the heels. And then exhale, fold it down. I'm going to have her grab a hold of opposite elbows. What is the purpose of Uttanasana? Uttanasana opens the back body. So from maybe below the shoulder blades, so the erectors, the quadratus lumborum, all the way towards the glutes, down the hamstrings, down to the calves. So if you're opening the back body, stretching the back body, then the front body needs to engage to keep everything protected. So first, let's start with the legs, the quadriceps. The quadriceps are muscles that work to straighten the leg. So every time you straighten your leg, your quad is working. The only problem is when we're doing this, a lot of times our quads are not working. And I went through that for years, and it actually hurt my hip flexors and my knees. So engaging the quads is important. Cue that by lifting the quadriceps up or by saying lifting the kneecaps. Now, recreating a neutral pelvis. The femur bone position is the key here. You want the femurs to be neutral in the pelvis when you're folding. That will protect your hip flexors. That will protect your hamstrings. So if you look at Tadasana, in my Tadasana video, I talk about inner thighs drawing back. The inner thighs drawing back really helps to free up the space around the sacrum, but you have to counter that by drawing the outer hips back and in, or in a sense, engaging the outer glutes. Okay, inner thighs back helps to create space, also a slight bit of internal rotation in the femurs. Then outer hips back engages glute min, and glute min is what stabilizes the femur in the pelvis, especially in the fold. So that's the legs. You okay there? She grabs a hold of opposite elbows. Then now the torso. I like to say, inhale, try to think of creating space between each vertebra of the spine. Then as you exhale, draw the ribs and the navel in, a little bit more. That's it. And think about the crown of the head getting closer to the ground. Okay, ribs and navel in helps to protect the back body or the low back while you're stretching. Then fingertips underneath the shoulders, inhale to a flat back. Heel toe your feet together. Now that was Uttanasana hips distance. Now with the feet together. A lot of students, when they bring their feet together, like to bring their heels together like Virginie is doing here. Your foot or your feet are triangular in shape, right? So that means the heel is more narrow than the top of the foot or the toe part of the foot. If you bring your heels together, it causes external rotation of the femur. And if you know that one of our cues is inner thighs back, then you know that you don't want external rotation of the femur. So I always cue, bring your feet together, big toes touching, a little space between the heels. A little bit more. Good. And that starts to bring the pinky toe edges of the feet a little bit more neutral. Then she can fold down, grab a hold of opposite elbows. Here, in this position, inner thighs back is less important unless they're really rounded. For most people that are very tight, I recommend they take their feet hips distance always. It's just more effective and much safer for the hamstring. But for those of us who like tradition, or those of us who are a bit more flexible, then yes, feet together is fine. Big toes touching, little space between the heels. Inner thighs can draw back. I prefer cueing inner thighs firming in. That really engages the adductors. And when you engage the adductors, you actually engage what we call in yoga mula bandha, right? Mula bandha, lifting the pelvic floor. Inner thighs firm in, then outer hips draw back. Good. And then inhale, length. Exhale, strength, ribs, navel in. That's Uttanasana, forward fold.